In this video, I'm going to go over some topics from this section of your textbook. It is Getting Started, Chapter GS. I'm not going to go over everything in this chapter, but I'm going to highlight and focus on a few things. Now, in today's world, the technology being what it is, every day, every minute, and even every second, tremendous amount of data gets generated. Whatever business you may, small business, big business, government, non-profit, there is tremendous amount of data that is getting generated and that is getting stored. So the challenge is to analyze the data, understand the data, and use the data for making or for running the business more efficiently and more effectively. Making use of this tremendous amount of data that gets generated has led to a new field, an emerging field that's often referred to as big data, just simply big data, or sometimes people call it data analytics. Or in the business context, we can call it business analytics. And it takes the huge amount of data that gets generated and apply statistical and quantitative analysis techniques to understand the data, explain the data, and use that analysis to develop predictive models about what the future will hold. So this is the essence of what we call as business analytics, but that business analytics sits on top of basic statistical framework, statistical concepts and analysis. So statistics and a good understanding of statistical analysis is a prerequisite for us to be able to do business analytics. So if you want a career in business analytics and the predictions are that the future is going to have there's going to be a lot of demand for people with business analytics skills. So if you want to do that, and UTC offers business analytics certificate program in the MBA level, and there is online program also in PMBA that specifically caters to business analytics type of students who want to specialize in business analytics. But all of that sits on top of this foundation, which is basic statistics. Now, the statistical analysis can be thought of in this framework that your textbook uses, DCOVA. So D is defining the data and connecting it to some business objective. So there must be a business objective first. So business objective could be that if you want to run a special and you want to send out invitations to your customers who would buy special products, and you want to offer them some discounts, and you want to select customers who are more likely to make use of that promotion that you're offering. So, well, that's one business objective. Or if you want to fine-tune your credit scoring system so that you separate out good credit and bad credit, or when a customer files in an insurance company, a claim comes in and you want to evaluate whether that claim is legitimate or not. So there can be any number of business objectives. So first you define the business objective, and then in order to meet that business objective, what kind of data that we need. So you define the data, and then you collect the data that you have defined from appropriate sources. There can be any number of sources, and we'll talk more about that later in a different chapter. So you collect data. And once the data is collected, then you organize the data and visualize the data. Organizing is one aspect of understanding data, and then visualizing is taking the organized data and presenting it in a graphical format. It's more understandable. The adage you've heard that 1,000 words is a picture is worth 1,000 words. So visualization is picturization of those 1,000 bits of data into one understandable graphical presentation. And then you have the analysis itself, more advanced analysis. So organizing and visualization is trying to present the data, but analyzing the data to meet the business objective. So that's your analysis. So you define, collect, organize, visualize, and analyze. So every topic that we will be covering in this textbook, you can think of it as one of these 5 categories of analysis that we do in basic statistics. So a couple of some definitions. So a variable in this course would mean a characteristic of an item or an individual or an observation that you make. A data is a set of variables. So a data set can have just one variable, or it can have 500 variables. Okay. And statistics is the method that helps transform that data into information that can be used by the decision makers. And there is another way in which the term statistics is understood. Statistics can be used as referring to a set of methodologies like described here, or it could also mean a number that you calculate from the data. So like, for example, you compute an average of a data column. That average is called a statistic. Or you can compute the minimum value of that data, and that is another statistic. So statistic and statistics. Statistics is the terminology used for the methodology of statistics, and then statistic can also mean a specific thing, like a value that you calculate from the data.